Hello, hello, hello. Well, that was kind of a weird transition there from the music to the... Oh, it's still going.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, you know what?
Well,
my YouTube.
That was kind of a weird transition there from the music.
Much better, much better, much better. So, hi, crypto fans. J. Scott McMillan here, and sadly, as you can see, and as you can see in that window, my cohort, my crypto buddy, Brianna Turk, is not with us today. She's under the weather, so hope you feel better, Brianna. But I'm going to try to take the reins here and just go for it. And we're going to talk about some crypto. We got some good news, and we're going to go over some news, and we're going to probably get into the thick of it. And if anybody has any questions, I would love to answer them. And we got Coach Keeley on. Hi, Coach Keeley from Live Streaming Pros Accelerator class that I'm in. So we're going to dive into some crypto news today. So let's see. Let me pop over here to... All right. So let's just dive in right away. So the first topic we're going to be talking about stablecoins today. And let me get this bigger here. Okay, there we go. There's I'm not sure. This is from Blockworks website, and the best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Okay, and then they have Frodo here with what, Gandalf? Is that Gandalf? I think so, and I'm not sure why. But they're big on memes, so we're going to talk today. So I just thought this was interesting. I'm going to read a lot of this because it's a really good article today, and in this article, and it's got a couple different. It's kind of a questions piece, but as we know, inflation's still going up. The Fed is still trying to get inflation down. It doesn't seem to be working, and it's causing the markets to go crazy, including crypto, right? So it says here that we were promised base effects. CPI was up 5.4% in September, and now it's up at 8.2% again. And yikes, prices are going crazy. And yeah, it's all of our lives are harder now that prices are up. But what's happening to the markets? And as we know, the stock market is reacting crazily. Strangely, the stock market went up after this news, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but stock market kind of has a mind of its own. Crypto certainly has a mind of its own too, and typically crypto has been following the stock market, but a couple weeks ago it started to actually decouple from the stock market and the economy, negative economy issues. But it's right back up there. Crypto is hanging in there. We'll look a little bit at a Bitcoin chart here in a minute, but again, this was kind of witty the way you put it. It says, we were told that it was supply chain, it was goods, inflation has slowed, yes, but services inflation has accelerated more than making up for it. That wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be gasoline. So we were told it was gasoline. Gasoline prices were down 4.9% in September versus August, and yet the headline CPI was still up 0.4%, and increasingly looking like inflation is simply a problem of too much demand. And demand-driven inflation is the Fed's worst kind. And so, the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of ideas and theories that until the Fed wrestles down inflation rates, that the markets are going to be held flat, including crypto. And crypto has been going sideways. And people, there's a lot of people that aren't really into crypto that look at how far crypto's come down, and they say, oh, crypto market's crashed, and, no, crypto market's not going to be around much longer. And for those that are following crypto, we know that's not true. Crypto is doing actually pretty well. It's moving sideways. So it is dealing with the economy issues just like everyone else and every other market. But the good news, it's not crashing down. And so there's lots of speculation that we're very near the bottom. But a lot of people say that we're not going to move higher until inflation gets under control. And it doesn't really look like that's happening. So probably certainly through the end of the year, in my opinion, we're going to be going in the sideways market, certainly in crypto, in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And, we just got to stick it out. But here's the really good news. And I'm going to talk about DeFi today because I'm a big DeFi believer, big fan of DeFi. And for the most part, I'm not worried about crypto coin prices, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum. I dollar cost average into both of those, and I just let them sit there. I don't worry about it. And right now, I'm not really in many different altcoins, and if I am, it's just very minimal positions. But I'm focused heavily on DeFi, and we're going to talk about stablecoins today. And DeFi uses stablecoins a lot, and I am a big fan of looking at ways I can earn yield. So whether the market is up or down, I'm still making money in DeFi. So we'll talk more about that. But let's just move on to here. There's another one, a little bit about this mango hack, which I thought was kind of interesting, the way this guy explains it. Another one of my pet peeves is hacking. And I mention it here. I try to be as positive as possible in all of crypto news and information because I love crypto. I think it's the future. I think that it's a lot of fun, and you can make a lot of money, and you can also just have a blast, and it's a lot of fun. So I don't want to be negative, but we got to figure this hacking out. And it's new, and the protocols are complicated, and there are smart people that are really trying to figure out how to exploit the system. But there's also smart people that are trying to protect it too. So, but I like to point out some of these hacks just so that you're aware. The thing about crypto is we just have to be really diligent about our research, about our security, and just almost overly cautious and protective. You just have to be when you're in crypto. And I'm not normally that way in my life. Typically, I'm kind of easygoing, kind of free-flowing, but in crypto, you just can't be. And the cool thing is that if you have the patience to stick with crypto through the complexity, through the kind of messy UI experiences, and you can understand the risk and deal with this risk, but mitigate it as much as you can by kind of overgoing and overdoing security issues, then you can have a lot of fun and do really well in crypto. Anyways, this was an interesting hack. It says, that this guy says, I had hoped by this point that the evolution of DeFi would require some technical wizardry to pull off a $100 million hack. But that's not the case, he says here. And you don't have to know anything about smart contracts to understand how this Mango got hacked, this protocol. So he calls it in a sense, he called it a life hack. Really no technical expertise. So this is interesting. Some of these hacks, a lot of them, frankly, when you look into them, they're pretty technical. There's some crazy stuff that's going on, or there was a piece of code that was exploited. Yeah. Or what happens a lot of times is these are life hacks or human hacks where the hackers actually convince humans to either give their keys or their access to their crypto, and then the hackers just walk in. This one's different. It's kind of interesting. So let's look at it. It says, in a nutshell, this life hacker attacker created and funded 2 accounts with Mango. He used one account to short 483 million Mango perpetual contracts to his other account at about 0.04. So then he spent a few $1 million in USDC to ramp up the spot price of Mango from 0.04 to 0.91, which created a mark-to-market profit of 423 million in one of his accounts. And of course, in the other account, there was a 423 million loss. But here's the crux. The Mango protocol then allowed him to use that 423 million paper profit as collateral to borrow 116 million worth of various tokens. And assuming he doesn't choose to return these tokens after subtracting the cost of funding the 2 accounts and ramping the price up, he made a profit of around 100 million. Now, that's crazy to me. He just followed the rules. He didn't do anything illegal here. But in traditional financial markets, because of regulation, that would be illegal, of course, right? You can't sell anything to yourself in traditional finance. That's called painting the tape, which I didn't know. That's kind of interesting, painting the tape. And you can't deliberately ramp up the price of something. Insider trading or other rules in traditional finance. And you can't place an order to buy as little as you can to get the price up as high as you can, because soon you'll find yourself in court. And these are really interesting points, of course. It's obviously the difference. And here's the thing. This was just a smartly exploiting what's not even really a bug, but this could have been shored up. There could be ways, from what I can understand, to make it not allow in this Mango protocol to do this. But on the other hand, another read of it is that they really didn't do anything illegal in the decentralized type of crypto. Now, if anybody's listening or this gets heard by anybody, and you have some more detail about really how could the protocol creators, what could they have done to this protocol to shore that up, to make that not happen? Or is this just part of decentralized DeFi protocols? And if it's the case, who's to stop somebody from using other protocols to do this? So it's a good question, and I think we need to get an answer to that. It's why I bring up these articles, because I think that we need to continue to ask the questions. If I'm not a programmer, so I don't really know, but as a user, these are questions that I want to know. And if I was to invest in Mango, which I haven't, well, this is something I would have liked to know that's even possible. So I guess my question, to reiterate, is this same kind of exploit possible on other DeFi protocols like Uniswap or Aave or any of the other DeFi protocols that I'm using all the time? So it's a little scary, if you will. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting. And then it says, well, this guy may have answered the question for me. It says, if you think that this is just in Mango, think again. He says, have you heard of Curve? Yeah, I use Curve. Because the DeFi auditor Chain Security announced this week that it had found a vulnerability in Curve's smart contracts that could have cost users in excess of 100 million had it been exploited. Now, apparently it wasn't. And I do like the fact that there are these white hat hackers out there that go out there, they look at these exploits, they find them, and they patch them or alert the protocols that there's a problem. So go white hat hackers, go, because we need you out there. We definitely need you. So yeah, it's reassuring that there are these white hat hackers out there that are trying to help us out, protecting us. But the point is that smart contract risk is real, and really DeFi is not ready for prime time. Now, there's millions and billions of dollars that are being locked up and used in DeFi right now. But that's just a little drop in the bucket compared to the whole financial world out there. And so we all want crypto to be adopted for the most part, right? And it won't be by more Main Street, traders like ourselves, or big traditional finance that'll come in and invest to really blow up crypto. That's not going to happen until we shore up some of this crazy exploits and some of these hacks. So in blue here, there's some notes that I put. And I said, I guess DeFi isn't ready yet. And it makes me sad because I see the potential for DeFi to change so much. And in fact, it's changing my life and a lot of people's lives right now, because you can make good return and good yields in DeFi if you pay attention, you know what you're doing, and you have some time to spend using the DeFi protocols. They work, but there's a lot of ways that they can be failed and exploited. So I think the thing is that, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, in crypto and especially DeFi, you just have to be overcautious. You have to double check things, and before you put a lot of money in there, test it out. A lot of my time right now is spent in putting small amounts of money in different DeFi protocols to test them, see how they work, how I understand it, to research more about them, and to follow people I trust that know maybe a little bit more about these protocols than I do. And that's the key, is to find trusted mentors and trusted groups in crypto that you can share ideas with and learn from. So one of the things I wanted to mention here is that one of the groups that I'm in, that we invest in different DeFi protocols, we talk about having a stablecoin management system, because really it boils down to stablecoins. There's another article I'm going to talk about a little bit more specifically about stablecoins, but let me just throw this in here since I have it. If you're going to use stablecoins, which you do a lot in DeFi, I actually, because stablecoins are stable and the risk of them going up or down in huge amounts, is less because they're using stablecoins. There's lots of ways in DeFi that you can find yield farms and liquidity tokens that can give you 100% or more in yield, but they're riskier, right? And you've got to deal with some of those issues. But in stablecoin farms, you actually can do really well. You can go anywhere from 3 to 20% sometimes, depending on what kind of stablecoins you use. And we'll talk about that here. But you want to have a plan, because as some of you may know, there is a category called algorithmic stablecoins. And these are stablecoins that are pegged to the dollar, but they use an algorithm that adjusts these coins, these stablecoins, to $1. And there was a protocol called UST, the Terra ecosystem, that was this way. And it was very popular for many, many years. A lot of people were in it. And that stablecoin crashed down to zero. I lost some money in there, not a lot, but it really took me for a loop, because I was viewing that as a place where I could put my money and be safe. That it wasn't like putting it in an altcoin that was going to go up and down and I could lose everything up, very quickly. I thought this was a coin that was going to just stay at $1, and it had for a while. But the algorithm was failed. It was exploited and then failed and was down to zero. People lost millions and millions of dollars in that exploit. So from then, I've been very, very careful. And so there are three types of stable coins that I'm going to go over here. Well, actually, this let's see. Do I talk about this? Actually, I have that in another article. But basically, you want to just make sure you have a plan. So so here's the plan that I try to follow. If any stablecoin drops 5% below its peg, then I'm just going to get out of it, because it's not worth it to me to have to speculate and worry about, is this going to go down lower? Because that's the thing that stablecoins aren't supposed to do. They're not supposed to go up and down. They're supposed to stay at a peg of $1, and that's why we use them. And so if I've got to worry too much about if this coin is going to go up and down and it's a stablecoin, I'm out of this. I'm out of this project. That's just a straight rule. If it drops a couple percentage points, then I'm going to really monitor it closely, and I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to have an exit plan that if I see this thing going, south, and I want to be able to get out. And really, it's just if I've got DAI or if I've got any other stablecoin. I want to have a plan. I can go, so like if it's DAI, I can go to MakerDAO, and I know that I can just take my DAI and redeem it, one for one DAI for $1, no matter what its pegging is. At that point, I can go to MakerDAO and get one DAI, $1. Same thing with like USDC. If that were to depeg or have some issues, I can always go to the Circle interface, trade in one USDC for $1. Now, USDC is probably the safest stablecoin, in my opinion, out there. It seems to have the most hard assets that back it, and it's really a forerunner in the industry right now. And so I'm not as worried about USDC, but I would have a plan if something weird started happening with it. What happened to me when I was in the UST, in the Terra US, the algorithmic stablecoin earlier this year, I saw this thing behaving weird, but I didn't know what to do, and I just didn't have a plan, and it went slowly down and crashed to zero. And so at that point I said, hey, I need to have a plan if this happens again. So that's what I believe you should do. Also, if you're going to invest in any stablecoins, you want to look at the protocol, especially if it's a not a real popular stablecoin, if it's kind of new. What is it backed by? That's the first thing you want to see. Is it backed by, cash or other stable coins, or is it an algorithmic stable coin? Is it doxed? Are the people that are putting the protocol out there, do we know who they are? What's their backgrounds? And is it audited? Is this coin and this protocol audited? That's a big thing to find out. Now, a lot of these say that they're audited. Like Tether is one that says that it's audited, but right now Tether, we're not sure really what it's backed by. So USDC, we're all pretty clear of what's backing USDC. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. I don't use Tether as much, although it's still one of the big guys out there. It has a lot of assets, using it. But yeah, I would just have this plan before we do anything. So that's what I wanted to say about that article. Let's take a look at another one here. All right. So let's see if we can see that. Good. Let me get it a little bit bigger. You guys hanging in with me there? Say hi if you're online. If you are on Facebook or you are on YouTube, say hi. Let me know if there's any questions you have or any topics that you want to talk about. We'd love to do it. All right. So here's another article, and this one is by Decrypting DeFi. And again, this was more about DeFi and stablecoins. So it says that this is talking about Tornado Cash, and hopefully if you follow crypto, you know that we had Tornado Cash, which was a protocol that you would put your crypto into, it would mix it up, and so it basically you wouldn't know the identity, or you wouldn't even know what wallet it came from. And so it's just a way to protect your identity, and it's a legitimate function, but the US government said, no, we've got to stop this because too many criminals are using it. And it's true. A lot of criminals were using that, but also a lot of people that just wanted privacy were using it. And so they shut it down. They shut down anything to do with Tornado Cash. They put people in jail that were involved with it. And they are also asking DEXs and different DeFi protocols to flag transactions that actually came through Tornado Cash. And herein lies part of the problem. So let's see. So Tether has basically froze another 3 crypto addresses, and this move blacklisted a total of 8.2 million in stablecoin. And it may be startling for newcomers to the wide world of decentralized finance, but moves like this have become commonplace over the years. In fact, this Dune dashboard reveals that the startling extent to which these leading stablecoin providers, Tether and Circle, the 2 biggest ones, are blacklisting a lot of assets out there. So let's see, they have 833 different banned addresses and more than 442 million in funds blocked. Well, this is supposed to be decentralized finance. This is supposed to be an area where no one can control your assets. So this is where, life isn't completely decentralized. There are some central vectors within crypto that are a little bit concerning, but it's going to get sorted out because I do believe that we need to figure some of this protocol out, some of these hacks, some of these exploits. And if criminals are using this to advance, then that's not good either. I don't know what the answer is necessarily. This will get worked out, but a lot of people like to talk about this. I just like to follow anything that happens with stablecoins because that's where I do a lot of my investing, and it's really a place that we go to because we trust that it's going to be stable. We understand when we invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or any altcoins that they can go way up and way down depending on supply and demand. But stable coins are supposed to stay at $1. And there's a good reason to. We want to be able to move our funds in and out of volatile coins and into a stable coin so we can decide where we next want to deploy those assets. And when we're talking about DeFi, we're actually using these stablecoin assets to sit and earn yield, just like it would be in a bank. But in a bank, we get 0.5%. In a lot of these DeFi protocols, we can get anywhere from 4, 6 to 70%. Well, typically with stablecoins, probably the highest around 20%. But that's amazing. You can basically earn 20% on cash because that's basically what these stablecoins are. So this is why I love DeFi. But it's new. It's brand new. I say brand new because basically DeFi's only been around for 3 or 4 years. Bitcoin's been around for around 12. Still, this industry is just a baby. And so we have to be patient. But when you're in it, and you've got assets in it and money in there, yeah, it can be challenging sometimes. All right, so here's some more interesting. So it's an open secret that these centralized stablecoins can be taken offline at a whim. But to the extent of which these two assets are embedded in DeFi cannot be understated. And that's what I was talking about. Is that Tether and USDC, there's billions of dollars in these coins in these DeFi projects. And so if anybody can come in, any government can come in and then shut down your transactions and confiscate those transactions right out of the smart contract where you're invested, it's a little scary. So so there's 1.12 billion in total locked value between these two. Now, Uniswap, one of the largest DeFi protocols out there, it has 3.82 billion total value locked across its protocol. And these two centralized stablecoins make up more than a third of that platform's value. So it's just something to know and watch and be prepared for. And know that it can happen. So you just want to be really careful and have a plan like I talked about before. So also Curve Finance, another big DeFi protocol, lots and lots of USDC and USDT in there. So all this is underpinned by the fact that there are really few alternatives. Now DAI, which is a different type of stablecoin, and it's backed by some crypto assets, and you have to over collateralize to get DAI. It's still a volatile protocol potentially because it's not cash, it's not pegged to the dollar, and it doesn't have a ton of assets backing it up other than these crypto assets. So bottom line is basically if you put in $500 of Ethereum or Bitcoin, you can borrow, let's say, $200 of DAI. And so you have to have over collateralized to it. But then you can take that DAI and do everything you want with it. It's kind of like a lending protocol in a way. But it says here that 53% of DAI is backed up by USDC. So they're all combined. They're all connected here. So it's you start to wonder if this house of cards could fall. And it has. Crypto market has been rocked by certain things. The UST Terra crash really rocked crypto, but crypto stayed. It rebounded, it maintained, and again, if you're careful, you have these plans, and you do your due diligence, you're going to be okay, and you're going to make some good yields in it. So meanwhile, regulators are circulating, and they're not just looking for the next Terra. So they are looking to see for that next really, really vulnerable stablecoin, but they're also just looking at even these higher graded stable coins. that they need to be monitored closely. And so regulation is coming in. They're going to start to regulate stablecoins. I think it's a good thing as long as we can still use them. We can still, hopefully we'll be able to rely on them even more. But if they take them away or don't allow us to use them, then it's going to take away a big area in crypto and in DeFi. So we don't want that to happen. So it says ultimately, on top of the outsized control of assets by a few players, stricter rules for stablecoins are coming, and that means more problems for DeFi. I don't know. More problems? I don't know if that's how I would characterize it. I would say it's going to create, all of us, including the protocol creators of these new coins or these stable coins, to be more diligent and to continue to stay the game and know that crypto is here, but we need to shore it up. As programmers, we need to make sure that these exploits, don't happen. The government's coming in anyways, so we just have to be prepared that they don't overstep. And I'm confident that they won't, as long as we're diligent and we let our elected officials know how we feel about crypto and regulation. And that is, just to be clear, that we welcome regulation, but don't overstep your bounds. Don't try to make crypto like traditional finance. Then what's the point, right? Just because now we have a digital ledger, a digital asset. We're going to talk about CBDCs here in a minute, and those can be a real problem. We don't want that necessarily. So let's move on. How you guys doing? You still hanging in there with me? I know it's better when Brianna's here. I mean, she's much easier to on the eyes and the voice probably, and you just got like a fire hose of me. So hang in there though. Hopefully we're talking about some fun things, some interesting news in crypto, and some valuable information if you're going to be in crypto and investing. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Oh yeah. So again, on the Tornado Cash issue. So Coin Center, which is this, I think it's a nonprofit organization, is suing the Treasury over Tornado Cash sanctions. And this is what I found interesting about that. We've kind of known that people are going against the government on this, saying, look, you're really messing with the fundamental reason why we're into crypto and decentralization and not having one entity that can control our money and what we do with it is. Yeah, I was going to say as long as it's legal, which for the most part, there's nothing wrong with the Tornado Cash protocol. It's just, unfortunately, a lot of criminals were using it. And my thinking is, let's get smarter. Between the government and the protocol creators, we can figure out the technology to weed that out. It can be done. Unfortunately, what the government is doing now is they're just taking, their big whip and they're just smacking people down without giving us an alternative or trying to figure out the solution to the problem. So that's not good either. So anyways, this nonprofit blockchain advocacy group called Coin Center has filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Treasury over Tornado Cash sanctions, saying that the move effectively criminalizes American citizens wanting to protect their privacy while using their own crypto assets. So this was interesting. So David Hoffman, who, he's been in the crypto area for quite a bit, he stated that after the Treasury sanctions, an unknown individual sent crypto assets to his public address through Tornado Cash, consequently embroiling him in this whole situation. He's just an innocent bystander, wasn't using Tornado Cash, but someone sent him assets through Tornado Cash, and now he's involved. And that's not fair. So Ethereum users like Mr. Hoffman have no ability to reject these incoming transfers. So the criminalization of Tornado Cash empowered someone else to implicate Mr. Hoffman and force reporting obligations on him by causing him to receive an asset from a sanctioned entity. He didn't do anything wrong, but now he's involved in this. They're looking at his assets now potentially because somebody sent him one, a transaction that was involved through Tornado Cash. And again, we don't know what's that transaction, good, bad, or indifferent. It was a transaction that was flagged through Tornado Cash, and the government basically said all transactions that ever went through Tornado Cash are flagged and blocked, and anyone that's connected to that is suspicious. And that's not good. So And it has licensed anyone who wishes to harass or inconvenience Mr. Hoffman to continue to send crypto assets through Tornado Cash to Mr. Hoffman's publicly known address. Now, each time triggering potentially liability and reporting obligations. So that's not fair. I get it. I'm glad that they're suing the government. So this whole Tornado Cash thing is kind of crazy, and there's no clear answer here. And it'll get sorted out, but this is, what we have to deal with in the crypto world. It's funny. I'm sitting here talking about these articles, and again, I'm trying to just bring awareness. I look at all the crypto news. I just try to bring you guys information that I find interesting for what I'm up to. And really, if we're in crypto, a lot of these things can touch us. This whole Tornado Cash thing. This thing that happened to Mr. Hoffman could have happened to anyone. Mr. Hoffman, David Hoffman. It's like, he's too young to be called Mr. Hoffman. Come on, I'm sorry, David, but you're too young to be called Mr. Hoffman. Anyways, I listen to their podcasts. They're great on the Bankless podcast. But anyways, so that's what we do. But it sounds pretty negative, and I don't want to paint that picture because crypto is a great place to be. I'm a huge advocate for it. I want more and more people to be involved in it. But I guess I bring this up because I'm involved in it, but I want to be smart about it. So I want to know that these things are out there and what I can do and be prepared so I'm not caught off guard like I was with UST. And I had just gotten into the crypto world heavy, and I took some advice and put my money in there, and I thought I was in a safe place, and I wasn't. So I realized that is out there in crypto. But I still choose to be here because it's really the only place we could be, especially now with the economy and inflation and what's going on in world economies, to earn a decent yield, to earn, real yield in DeFi, but also participate in the new technology, the future of finance, the future of, Web3 is all about blockchain and crypto. So that's where the future is, and that's where I'm choosing to be right now. And so I think it's still a really good place to be in crypto. All right, what else do we got here? Let's see. So we've got. Let's talk about CBDCs just for a little bit. Brianna, our co-host, is doing a lot of work in CBDCs, so she's going to have a lot more information coming out on the CBDCs. But I saw this article about Swift. Now, Swift. Let's see. What's the acronym? I can't remember the acronym of Swift, but it's basically what all banks use to transact internationally. And it's a complicated old system that has lots of old technology, and it takes 2 or 3 days to actually, move funds and get them transacted across countries. It's slow, but it's the only thing going basically. Most every bank uses them for cross-border payments and transactions. So what they're saying here is they have been doing some research into what it would take to have CBDCs cross-border. And CBDCs are central bank digital currencies. So quickly about the issue there is that we've got central banks and governments that are saying, hey, we want to also use the benefits of having a digital currency, but we want control. We don't, we think this blockchain thing is good, but we don't want it to be centralized, and we want to have control over it. So that's the antithesis of true decentralized crypto and blockchain technology. Most of us that get into crypto, we do it because we don't want to have governments and organizations control our funds and our money. So China was one of the first to roll out a CBDC, and they're using it to control everything. They know every transaction that's gone through, every person, and if they don't like what that person's buying or using their funds for, they cut them off. And that's what we don't want to see anywhere. So we're all a little bit nervous if we're in the crypto market and we believe in decentralization. We're a little nervous about these CBDCs coming up because the US government, a lot of different governments are looking into it. And now that we have SWIFT, which is the de facto organization that does cross-border payments, they're saying that they have figured out the particularly vexing problem for central bank digital currencies and how to transact them between blockchains. So they are now using the SWIFT system to move CBDCs, digital currencies, from one country to the other country. And they're doing a lot of testing, and they say they've got this mostly figured out. So the problem here is that, let's see, the thorny choice between incorporating CBDCs into SWIFT's existing payment rails or competing against crypto-native competitors like Bitcoin's Lightning Network. So that's one of the issues. They're looking to see, well, should we use these CBDCs, which could be used to control us much more, or could we use like a Bitcoin network that is truly decentralized? No one can actually control us. Should they use that as their way to transfer funds back and forth? Because we know using Bitcoin network, we can transfer funds anywhere in the world pretty darn fast. And with other protocols, crypto protocols like XRP, you can do them in seconds now. And so the technology is there, but what do the governments want to use? Well, they'd rather have control. So they're looking into these CBDCs. They'd rather have CBDCs. So now that SWIFT has provided that, it's kind of a death blow to us that aren't a fan of CBDCs, or at least the way the governments want to implement them. And so this is going to make it, in my opinion, easier for them to do that. So again, another thing we need to look at, it's potentially negative or positive. It's kind of in the middle because nothing has been implemented yet, but we know SWIFT has a lot of weight behind them. And if they're saying that they can now use CBDCs to easily move digital currencies back and forth between countries, more governments will probably look into that even heavier than they are. I wonder though if that's really even the issue, because we know CBDCs are coming. Governments are going to want to do this. The question is, can they be implemented with transparency and not basically knowing everything that we do and being able to shut down our money and based on the transactions we use. So we don't want that. Nobody wants that, except for the governments. So something to be aware of. And check out Brianna's channel, Purified People. She's got a lot of information that she's going to be putting out on the CBDCs, and we'll keep following that. Let's end here with a little Bitcoin analysis. So a good group to follow is the Crypto Revolution group. They do some analysis on trading, and so they drew a couple charts here, and I kind of thought these were really good to talk about what Bitcoin is doing right now. And so they're drawing these lines, as you can see, but you can see as Bitcoin has been moving up and down, and it's going in a downward direction. You can see that white line that is angling down. But what you can see is that it's moving into a wedge, into a tighter and tighter wedge at the very bottom. And so what this says typically, according to these guys at the Crypto Revolution, is that when this pressure is building in this wedge, and it's what it does is that Bitcoin hits the resistance line, that white line. So it goes up, it hits that and it goes down, it hits it and goes down. But it's happening at a tighter level here. And so it's got to burst, is what they're saying. It's going to either burst way to the upside, or it could burst down below and just go way low. So it's saying something's happening here that is going to trigger something. Now, a lot of us think we're at the bottom or down near the bottom, and that we're going to go up and higher. And certainly if the Fed can get a hold of inflation, we think that really Bitcoin's going to jump on the positive side, which is good. But it's possible. And typically this scenario, according to these guys, is kind of bearish for Bitcoin, in the long run. But there's just so many signals that are also saying that it could go to the high side, or that it could start moving up. That's where I'm going to choose to look. You can see in the second chart, the white line basically is another sort of resistance point, but that's up at about 25K. So I'm believing, and what I'm looking at, and there's just tons of analysis and different opinions out there, is that as Bitcoin kind of gets into this wedge, and then when it's ready, when the Fed gets done tightening, and there's indications that the economy then will be able to rest a little bit, it's gonna go back up. And I think at that 25K, the question is, will it go higher than that? I'm not sure it will. I think it'll probably hit that resistance point. But I'm okay with that, because I think we're gonna bounce around in this 19, 18 to this 25 K range for Bitcoin. And the reason we all look at Bitcoin is because as Bitcoin moves, the whole crypto market moves. But again, I just want to, to reiterate. Let me get back to up here. Just want to reiterate that I don't really focus that much on Bitcoin. I don't look at and read these charts that much. I like to, other people that have good analysis, I follow a little bit just to know where's the crypto market going. And like I said, based on how Bitcoin's going, that's how the market's going to go. But I focus on DeFi. I'm looking at no matter what the market's doing, I know I can earn between 4, 6, 10, 20% on stable coins. So that's basically earning 20% on cash, if you will, right? Now, again, it's not just like going to a bank and depositing your cash, but effectively it's like that. But there's a lot of work to it. I'm not gonna say a lot of work. On the low end, to get like 4%, easy. You just deposit your money, your crypto. You take your Bitcoin, your ETH, or just turn your fiat into USDC and put it in some of these protocols. You can stake ETH for that matter, which is also pretty easy and available at many places out there. You can stake ETH and get easily 4%. So that alone beats anything that a bank can do. And the fact, if you do a little more digging and using some of these stable coins, you can get somewhere between 15 and 20%. That's what I'm making on some of my yield positions right now. But I got to stay on it. I got to have a plan in case some of these stable coins start to do something funky. If Bitcoin decides to, crash down, it will probably affect everything. But I've got a plan in place for that. And I think that's the important thing. So I actually teach this. I have a crypto academy where I basically teach brand new people that have never been into crypto before, that have never bought crypto, how to actually, buy their first Bitcoin, or not whole coin, but a fraction of the Bitcoin. I usually start them out on very low note, $20 to $20, $500, just to get in there and get used to working with the exchanges. But I move them all the way up to actually investing in protocols where they can earn pretty good yield and interest. And we talk all about the crypto world, what crypto is, why it was created. We talk about all these, the security. We're very big on making sure that when we get our money into the crypto world, that it's as safe as we possibly can make it. And I have that program, and I also have a phase 2 of that where we really get into some of the nitty gritty in this DeFi protocols and how we can earn 20%, 50, 70%, even in a down market. And in an up market, well, the sky's the limit. So yeah, you can find more information at Crypto for the Rest of Us, which is my channel on YouTube. And I'm going to be rolling out some ads and getting this program and course spread out to a lot more people. So stay tuned for that. So follow my channel. Also follow Brianna's channel over at Purified People. And Brianna, get better. Hope you get better. I think she's got the flu. Her kids had the flu and she had it. So she's going to get better. And she'll be back next week. And we're going to get some more guests. We've got some really good guests lined up to come on and talk about their issues and visions and ideas about crypto. So anyways, thanks for joining. And if you're watching this on the replay, also put in there replay and that you watched it and you had any questions, put them in the comments and we'll be sure to talk about them next week. So again, thanks for watching another issue of Brianna and Scott, just talking about crypto today. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.